And look, I think we're all going to have our own beliefs and our own points of view, and that's a given in this life, right? But when you weaponize an ideology to bully, harass, and or cause harm to one another, that's where it not only becomes problematic, but it works in stride with cult-like behavior. Muchachos y muchachas. So I'm really surprised and astonished that no video has ever been made about this particular cultish group that existed on Facebook primarily. Now, again, I'm just like, I fell down a rabbit hole doing my research for this video, and I was just like, the allegations that are being made about the leader of this group are pretty horrendous. Now, there was once a cultish sort of group, and it was mostly based out of Los Angeles, but it also spanned other cities from what I can gather. And the name of this group, it had several, and I'm not clear whether or not some of these groups were, evolutions of another group, or if they created many others. There is some testimonies that the leader of these groups created more than 20. So with that being said, but these in particular were more notable names, and that is Girls Night In, also known as Grlcvlt. And then there was also another group called the Beauty and Style Friendship Club. Now, you guys might remember this SJW cringe-esque video that went viral back in 2016. A drunk Lyft female passenger berating and verbally assaulting a Lyft driver, accusing him of racism and of our favorite word here, cultural appropriation. Don't even get me started. And his crime, the Lyft driver, his crime was having a Hawaiian bobblehead doll sitting on his dashboard.
You thought that was adorable. You didn't think about like the pillaging of the continent of Hawaii.
Wow, you're the first bad experience I've ever had with Lyft, and it's unfortunate that it has to be like that.
I'm excited.
I'm a very respectful person, and the fact that you're taking offense to that, I'll take a picture
That's
of it.
That's a disrespectful object that you have in your car, and whether you're Asian or not, you should be considerate to the fact that you might have passengers that don't find that thing to be.
Off of my dashboard when it's super glued.
No, I just said you can set it down for a second. It might be not amusing to all passengers. You're gonna experience this again, by the way.
Here's the sidewalk. Have a wonderful night.
Thank you.
Yep.
I'm so excited. Can I have your name again?
Nope. Have a great
Yes,
night.
I can.
No,
Can I have your name again? Well, I'll just stay here then.
Well, then, oh my God, this is my car. Can you please get out of it?
No, I won't. Call the police. Call 911.
Now, this person later on identified themselves in their own tweet, and we're going to change the person's name to Annie. And it says here, just had a racist Lyft driver kick me out of his car on the side of the freeway. What a time to be alive. This was at the time later deleted, but the internet is forever. And hereforth, we're going to continue calling this person Annie. Now, that was Annie in that SJW viral video, the founder and alleged leader of these cultish groups. And oh no, that's not just me saying it. She was on Good Morning America the same month talking about and attesting to the group's existence and confirming her leadership.
Online group Girls Night In is the 21st century's answer to friendly neighbors, but it's ladies only.
So when people call this kind of an online sorority, what's your take on that?
I think that's what it is. It's a club, and it's a bunch of girls, or at least people who don't identify as male, getting together and doing all kinds of stuff.
And we're going to get to the rest of these sketchy behaviors and details. But first, I'd like to thank the sponsor of this video, Ageless Glow with Natalie. And I've been using this stuff for about a year now, and I can personally say, especially with late night edits, that this has restored a lot of youthfulness and rejuvenation to my skin. Now, provides a protection against oxidative stress, and it also promotes the appearance of thicker and denser skin. If this is something you would be interested in, you can go to glowwithnatalie.com to try it out and make one yours today. Now, how did I personally come to know this group? So back in the 2000s, I was a makeup artist and I worked for MAC Cosmetics. And that in and of itself, we had our own little network of makeup artists, otherwise known as MUAs, and sometimes other industry professionals such as actresses and, photographers, things that would be connected to a makeup artist. And some of my friends moved to Los Angeles to pursue the entertainment industry, aka Hollywood. And I've always stayed in Texas, okay? Now, one day, my friend who moved to Los Angeles, she added me to this Facebook group, the Beauty and Style Friendship Club. And it was there, my friends, where I personally got red pilled all on my own. Girls' Night In, also associated with Grlcvlt, or maybe they're one and the same, was majorly onset and gave a name for itself back in 2016, although it's claimed that it was started back in 2012 during the Brock Turner case. Now, if you guys don't remember, Brock Turner was accused of R-wording a fellow college student while she was unconscious behind a dumpster. Brock Turner ultimately got sentenced pretty lightly on only 6 months. Now, this caused an uproar, especially in the feminist community, which again, I had no idea existed, sparking a backlash and a perceived R-word culture. And that's where Grlcvlt received support from a Stanford Law School professor and Democratic fundraiser, Michelle Dauber, and planned events nationwide under a campaign called R-Word Culture, in efforts to recall former Judge Aaron Persky, who presided over the Brock Turner case. This garnered attention from the media even. Now, this particularly secretly upheld Facebook group was comprised of a mix of people, but in that mix were some pretty influential ones.
There are nearly 2,000 ladies in the LA-based Girls' Night In, ranging in age from 18 to their mid-40s. Everyone from executives, former reality show contestants, actresses, and models. Getting into the highly selective group is tricky. At least 3 veteran women in the group have to nominate new members, and even then, they have to be deemed worthy of entry.
And it was comprised of Hollywood casting directors, models, actresses, and even at the time, some of the major up-and-coming influencers like James Charles, Nikki Tutorials, Tess Holliday, makeup brand executives, major celebrity MUAs, I mean, you name it. There were a lot of influential people in the Beauty and Style Friendship Club. Now, for a lot of people like myself who were part of this group, it was an attraction of beauty, fashion, and makeup. Being that this was the era of viral makeup tutorials, as you guys remember, Instagram started in, I believe, 2012, and as the culture developed on Instagram, makeup video tutorials were the rage. And so posting little clips of makeup tutorials really went viral at this time, which I myself was an aspiring makeup beauty influencer at that time, but God had other plans for me. Nonetheless, the beauty posts in itself were gravitational pulls for beauty and fashion-centric enthusiasts. That's until I came across the ugly side of beauty. I, along with many others, were not necessarily aware, especially back in 2016 and before, of belonging to a social ideology, only going along with the next narrative until it was around these years where the boiling intersectional agendas were starting to illustrate for itself out in the open. Lo and behold, the term intersectionality. I learned this term back in 2016. Intersectionality identifies multiple factors of advantage and disadvantage. Examples of these factors include gender, caste, sex, race, ethnicity, class, sexuality, religion, disability, weight, physical appearance, and height. These intersecting and overlapping social identities may be both empowering and oppressing. It sounds exhausting. And this, again, was just the biggest red pill for me personally, because as you can see in this group, you'll see a lot of examples. I'll just say that. So it seems to be that since this was so widely defined, it was weaponized, especially in this group, the Beauty and Style Friendship Club, to bully, attack, and berate fellow members to keep each other in line. Annie, the alleged leader of this group, seemed to do this over and over again. Here you can see how she was able to weed out and identify the allegiant by asking intersectional feminists to identify themselves. And oh boy, did a lot of people follow suit with this, identifying themselves and almost as if they were trying to gain her approval. And look, I think we're all going to have our own beliefs and our own points of view, and that's a given in this life, right? But when you weaponize an ideology to bully, harass, and or cause harm to one another, that's where it not only becomes problematic, but it works in stride with cult-like behavior. I always used to think about this group and its abusive behaviors. For instance, I mentioned cultural appropriation. This one was a big one in this group. I mean, I remember posts where, you know, women were bullied, they were doxxed, some because they didn't agree with their hairstyle, that it belonged to a certain culture. And I'm telling you, they went in really bad, again, doxing and just really, really verbally abusing particular women in this group. So with that, I always got curious about what transpired as I did become inactive on Facebook in 2017. My grandmother actually passed away in that year. And so since then, I had not visited my Facebook. I actually deactivated it until Facebook reactivated it. I'm not sure how that happens, but they did. But I grew curious about what ever transpired about this group. And I actually fell into a hidden rabbit hole that could only be revealed by insiders that were personally victimized by Regina George. I mean, Annie. So as I was doing my research and digs, there were a lot of people that came forward, way forward. And when everything seemed to dissipate in these groups, I only saw one side, which was the beauty industry, makeup posts, fashion posts. So this fueled my curiosity. I didn't think that there was more to it. So moving forward in this video, I want to make very clear that these allegations that I am going to bring up are corroborated by different people at different times. From what I understand, there are no observable legal inquiries or outcomes, and any subjects brought up are hearsay until brought up in accusation in court of said parties. Even if this is the case, no pun intended, all people are innocent until proven guilty in the court of law. Let's begin. The reason why this is such a big deal is because, again, this group was comprised of, at the time, very influential people in both Hollywood and the entertainment industry. So if any of these relationships were leveraged to commit unspoken things, then at one point this should all be addressed, in my opinion. So I'll remind you that these Facebook groups were private, and so therefore the posts that were made in this group were not shareable, and there wasn't this mobility that we see today in 2022 back in 2016. It was very basic, Facebook was getting their stuff together. And along with that, there were some heavy group policies to prevent leaks. Not only that, it seemed to be that Annie, the alleged leader, sowed a lot of fear and control over the members. Now, there were various scams that were alleged by people who came forward in one of the posts that ranged in anything from money funneling and laundering through businesses, donations, even using movements like BLM to fund Annie's lifestyle. It's alleged that further down the line, alongside all the businesses that are mentioned, you guys can pause this video to read all of these posts. I'm just going to genericize it to get through a few more things. But it's alleged that Annie used the BLM movement to garnish donations for what she called protest shoes. There's another post where she claims that she couldn't work because she had to go to protest and all of this, alongside many other accusations that, she utilized people and their labor to, basically make profit for her without being fair to them, especially in this case that, this group was very with the mainstream narrative on, the BLM movement and all these things. It seemed to be that it was ironic that she was very loud and proud about, speaking up for these movements, but then she used a lot of people of color in her, business ventures to profit off of them and exploit them. Even a former roommate of hers that really onset the majority of these people speaking out about her, showing that Annie requested payback for certain utilities shared as, again, they were roommates. The former roommate asked for a reasonable thing, a breakdown of what was part of the money request, what it went to, and he was only to be shut down and rebuked by Annie. But other than money scam allegations, the darkest scam seemed to surface as I went down various commenters, S-word exploitation, even some allegations of, young ones. Annie owned a naughty site called God's Girls, as well as a social media platform called 𝘏𝘶𝘮𝘢. Here are some of the serious allegations made by some of the members, or former members, I should say, of her group. Reading here, okay, I'm just going to add stories of this post for less emotional labor for me. Content warning for everything in this post. There will be reference to criminal S-word acts. Let's start with the business fraud, serial R-word, 𝘲𝑚, and the three-letter agency. I don't know if you all know about 𝘏𝘶𝘮𝘢, but it was a beta website that Annie started with labor she never paid for and bragged about, and ultimately got shut down by the three-letter agency because one of the members was a serial R-word. This is soon after she owned up 𝘏𝘶𝘮𝘢, which was populated mostly by S-word workers from her website God's Girls to minors. She continues, I left 𝘏𝘶𝘮𝘢 and cut ties with her as soon as I got wind of this. She threatened me with the power of all the women in her network of groups. I blocked her, but she would be the admin of like every group I got invited to on Facebook, so there was no getting rid of her. About 2 months after we stopped speaking, she sold her website, knowing that she couldn't go public with it, to one of her friends, a woman of color. So now this friend had to pay to maintain the site as evidence for the three-letter agency to never profit off of it. If she is still paying for it, there is a lot of evidence there. She has been a R-word apologist who had access to a lot of women that she intimidated for the better part of 15 years. There will be stories coming out for years. This will just be the start of the avalanche. And boy, it was, because a lot more other people came forward. In this other post, it says, a girlfriend of mine who I've known for 15 years told me early on that Annie heavily pressured her to have S-word with an old man for money. I was involved in numerous scandals within the group, including one where a bunch of Annie's dumb minions tried to paint me as an anti-Semite. Allegedly, there was an instance that he spoke about that he had, and they kicked him out of the group for speaking about it. While this moment is about Black women, I don't have the words to say right now. After seeing that thread, I feel ill. Forcing women to pay $2,000 to have Nude photos removed as extortion. If I had read one more of her posts about the gentrification of Highland Park with zero acknowledgement that she is a white passing woman with the twee-ass company making Be Gay, Do Crime pins and selling them on Wish.com. And there is another comment that says, or mentions this poster's name that said, I've heard multiple accounts of her inviting people places and then they'd show up where there's some old guy there and things turn weird. It reminds me of the time we went to have drinks with her and that TV producer for business that we never heard about it again, just saying. Something else is going on because none of this business deals ever go through. And then the original poster then replies to this comment, says, oh my gosh, I forgot about that. And someone else tagged someone else. And in another testimony, it says here in this comment, I'm really concerned about all of the underage women that Annie groomed and used on her site. If anyone would like to come forward and press charges, I am 100% here to help you. Now, I did mention that there was an alleged scheme of paying $2,000 to get the photos taken down from this naughty site that Annie owned. And there are some more allegations that came forward to one particular person, which it says, this is the info I have received after I posted about her the other day. It gets much worse. I don't know if anyone has mentioned her T-wording of underage girls yet. And these get really personal. I am going to name one of these allegations out. Your post about Annie was very eye-opening. I had no idea about this particular instance. I hope she had changed. Back in the day, she was profiting off of taking advantage of very young girls with her alternative naughty site called godsgirls.com. She scouted underage girls on MySpace, myself included, and promised us so much money and fame, which wound up being as measly as $60 for us to submit what's called DIY sets we made ourselves and have our bodies online forever. I am scared to share this information publicly, so if you do so, please don't mention my name. I also don't want this to take away from the more important conversation you are having, you have going on right now. But seriously, thank you for being brave and calling that out. And then another instance list also, or a person's name also used to live with her and told me she literally stole the S-word girls business plan and models. She would prey on girls just barely 18 on MySpace and get them to join. My body is on that website still. And then in another instance, the person who lived with her told me this also. I know it to be true as well. Once the models did a certain number of DIY sets, they would be invited to stay at her home in California to do professional shoots, which they were only paid like maybe $200. God's Girls was more on the naughty side, and the, modeling and S-word toys and, P-word of invasiveness were involved. Her roommate told me that these were very young girls just out of high school, would stay there, and she would get them drunk and high underage and would let her make friends take advantage of them. I was invited to come out here for this as well to do a professional shoot. I can verify that it is true. What we were paid to do, what we did when we were too young to make those decisions, and what we were promised still makes me sick. And in another instance, I wish I still had my old MySpace accounts. She started hitting me up on there when I was just 16, again at 17, and kept telling me to apply as soon as I turned 18. Shot my first DIY set for $60 a month over my 18th birthday. I lived in a small town and our family got hit hard by the recession. I believed her and she said I would make a lot of money and I thought I could help my family. That never happened, and those pictures ruined my reputation for a long time in that small town. I felt so ashamed for years. And as you can see, again and again, these allegations just kept coming forward with the same figures of money, getting paid only $60 a month. And then further down the line, if the said young model wanted those pictures taken down from the naughty site, God's Girls. It was then flipped over as a $2,000 charge to take them down, which a lot of these girls, women, you know, later turned into women. They didn't have the money to do that, and so the photos, they stayed up. Now, Annie had to make a acknowledgement post on the Instagram, as it is now deleted, obviously, because so much came out of this, and basically acknowledging that, oh, you're probably going to hear some weird things about me, you know, basically the same themes that I listed out, along with S-word exploitation of young women and girls. And, you know, basically having to make this acknowledgement. I have a feeling that this will not be the only video that I will make about this, but I wanted to first just quickly overview in a nutshell what this whole group was. And I think that this wasn't even an elaborated attempt to cover everything, because I believe that there is an iceberg waiting to be unveiled out of all this. I even believe that some people watching this video may have been victims of this scheme and this particular person or the group of individuals that she was associated with. And with that, if you have any, you know, any wanting to come forward, even if it's anonymous, you can send me a info tip at nataleedenise.info@gmail.com. I do have another person that I've been talking to that got to know the early onset of Girls Night In, 𝘸𝘏𝘀, and she is willing to talk to me pretty soon. So with that being said, guys, please let me know in the comments if you know who I'm talking about. There's a reason why I need to start off as this is kind of like a blind item. But if you are a victim of this person, please, if you feel comfortable, come forward. Of course, I will never pressure any victim to talk on an experience that they're not comfortable with. So you have to be comfortable and open to share your experience, even if you want to do it anonymously. So anyway, guys, let me know, did you know about this girl cult in Los Angeles? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you so much for your support and your time and attention to this. I will be back with another video. Stay tuned.